Thank you, sir, for that introduction and for inviting me to come speak today. Thanks also to all the Legion volunteers that worked so hard to put on an absolutely first-class event. It's great to see everyone that came out this morning. Many of us do not have to work today, and there's a million other things that you could be doing right now, but you chose to be here, and that speaks volumes. I'd like to extend a hearty welcome to our active duty, reserve, retired, and military veterans that are here today. After the ceremony, if you happen to see one of these fine Americans that have served their country, please go up to them, extend your arm, shake their hand, and thank them for their service. They truly deserve it, and it's a gesture that will not go unappreciated. In the Holy Bible, the prophet Isaiah, in chapter 66, verse 8 of the book that bears his name, asks the question, "Can a nation be born in a day?" On July 4th, 1776, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and other distinguished gentlemen answered that question with an emphatic yes when they placed their signatures on a piece of parchment entitled the Declaration of Independence. This singular act would be recorded in world history as not only the birth of the greatest nation that has ever existed, but the boldest step ever towards true human liberty. Before the ink had even dried on that sacred document, these patriots paused to contemplate the gravity of their actions that summer day in Philadelphia. They fully understood this act of defiance would incur the wrath of the British Empire. These patriots knew they would have to fight with every fiber in their being to liberate themselves from an empire that wielded more power, influence, and control than the Babylonian, Persian, Grecian, and Roman empires that preceded it combined. Our founders were learned scholars of world history. While it's true they could not have foreseen the technology that we enjoy today and the breathtaking rate of change, they fully understood the fallen condition of mankind, and they drew keen observations about human nature, which never changes. The ambitions and lust for power in the human heart must be restrained. The overwhelming yearning for freedom, once firmly entrenched in the heart and mind, becomes intractable. Their desire to live as free men and not as subjects to the arbitrary whims of a tyrannical king overrode any sense of trepidation or reservation. The nation born in a day almost never survived beyond its infancy. When it appeared that the continued existence of our nation was most imperiled, Commanding General George Washington, so burdened was he for the welfare of his nation, humbled himself, bowed a knee in the driving snow at Valley Forge, acknowledged his Creator as the source of all blessings, and implored divine providence in prospering the undertakings of the Continental Army. Before honor comes humility. It was this type of inspirational leadership that guided this fledgling nation, transforming its darkest hour into its finest hour and providing us with a solid foundation for freedom and prosperity. There can be no doubt that America has truly been blessed. America, not unlike a stone kingdom, is a mountain exalted above all hills. We are a nation with friendly neighbors to the north and south. We are separated from our enemies by vast oceans to the east and the west. And we are blessed with abundant natural resources and rich, fertile soil for producing an agricultural bounty. America is a land of visionaries and entrepreneurs. It's our fascination with discovery and exploration that has really set us apart. Over the last 235 years, the human spirit has been free to soar to unimagined heights, and science, technology, and innovation have developed and flourished. The wondrous creations that have sprung from the hands and minds of such great Americans as Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Dr. William Shockley, and countless others have made us more productive and has immensely improved the quality of our lives. America has invented products that were truly wanted and needed, and we discovered ways to make them better and more affordable. Made in America is a term that means something very special. When natural disasters strike, America is there, ready to provide humanitarian assistance to those in need. This was most recently evident during the earthquake and subsequent tsunami in Japan. While the rest of the world awakened to the horrific tragedy that was unfolding, asking themselves, what can we do? America had already answered that question by establishing command and control, taking charge, doing what needed to be done. Our efforts were instrumental in alleviating untold human suffering. The rest of the world looks to America for leadership. Literally dozens of nations that have come into existence since our own founding have modeled their own forms of government after ours, even if only nominally so. To whom much is given, much is also expected. With the hard-won rights that we enjoy also comes responsibility. A responsibility to exercise our rights without infringing upon the rights of others. A responsibility to ensure that America maintains the rule of law and not of men. A responsibility to set the standard and provide an example for the rest of the world to emulate. In our benevolence, America has shared its prosperity with the rest of the world. We have fed ourselves and others, offered our technology and innovation, and answered other nations' calls for help. America is a very special place. America is not perfect, far from it. But I state this unequivocally. America has gotten it right far more often than we've gotten it wrong. The heroes that we honor today, and they are heroes, are truly America's finest. In just a few moments, the Master of Ceremonies will read the names of the service members from Lycoming County that made the supreme sacrifice in our nation's wars. This is a solemn time, a brief moment to pause and reflect. These young service members weren't faceless individuals that were fitted for a uniform, given a weapon, shipped overseas, and placed in harm's way on the front lines of a foreign nation. They were so much more than just a name on a little white cross that you see here in front of you. They were our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues. We all know someone just like the brave souls that left their loved ones behind. They may have sat beside us in school. They might have delivered your newspaper when they were 12 years old, or they may have been that friend that could always bring a smile to your face whenever you needed to hear an encouraging word. Each and every one of them came from right here in north central Pennsylvania, and they all had someone that cared for them very, very much. They did much more than answer the call to arms. They provided a lesson in leadership. It's no exaggeration to equate their leadership on par with the patriots that founded this great nation. Our founders fought to procure our rights. These heroes fought to preserve it. And, like our founding fathers, they fought for something that they themselves fully understood they might never live to see. They fought to ensure an inheritance for their posterity. The founders made explicit mention of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are more than just patriotic catchphrases. This is our birthright. Brave young Americans spilled their blood to secure it. It's ours, it belongs to us, and we demand it. With their tenacity, determination, and resolve, they sent a clear and unequivocal message to our enemies. The imposition of tyranny upon a freedom-loving people will not be tolerated. At a time such as this, the challenges facing our great nation seem insurmountable and even overwhelming. But be not disheartened nor discouraged. The next generation of America's leaders are here today, sitting amongst you, hearing these words. The solutions to America's problems already reside in your hearts, in your minds, and in your hands. You might say, I'm just one man, I'm just one woman, or I'm just a child. What can I possibly do? How can I make a difference? As demonstrated by those that gave their all in the name of freedom, one person can indeed make a world of difference. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. The precedent has already been set. To see our way clear to a better future, we only need look to the lessons of the past. True leadership does not come from the top down, it comes from the bottom up. A nation can only be as strong as the individual citizens that comprise it, and the heroes that we honor here today exemplify the very best that this nation has to offer. The lessons in leadership they provided must not be forgotten, for they are now ours to heed for our own benefit or to ignore at our own peril. Their story must be passed to subsequent generations, for a terrible price was paid, and their invaluable lessons are indelibly written in their blood sweat, and tears. All Americans must be aware of their responsibilities as citizens and never fall into a state of apathy or complacency. The greatest threat to the status quo and the enemies of the ideals that we as Americans hold so sacred is a vigilant, informed, and enlightened citizenry. Let me say that again. The greatest threat to the status quo and the enemies of freedom is a vigilant, informed, and enlightened citizenry. The torch lit by our forefathers was handed to the heroes we honor today. With their bravery displayed in combat, they proved themselves to be good and faithful servants and responsible stewards of that which was entrusted to them. Today, the torch is handed off to America's next generation of leaders to carry it forward. America's greatest glory lies directly ahead of us. You are the generation that will lead us to a summit and lift us all up to a better place to be. America has a preordained destiny, a destiny that you are now charged with fulfilling. The stakes have never been higher, and the world is watching. Thanks to the efforts of these brave service members, the flame of freedom burns brightly from our shores, like a beacon to illuminate the rest of the world. That flame must never be extinguished, nor even allowed to dim, for so goes America, so goes the rest of the world. Let me leave you with these thoughts. If believing that freedom is a sacred ideal to be cherished and defended at all costs is wrong, don't let me be right. If wanting to hand our children a better America than the one we were given is wrong, don't let me be right. If honoring the sacrifice of those that paid the ultimate price to defend our freedom is wrong, friends, if that is wrong, then I don't want to be right. Thank you. May God bless America.